He is also chairperson of Center for Linguistics. He has been teaching in Northeast region for long. 2007 to 15, he was in Assam University as an assistant professor. Then 2015 to 2016, he was in Nagaland University as an associate professor. His area of interest is Tibeto-Burman linguistics, phonetics, phonology, and language documentation. He has wide experience in Northeastern languages. He's very passionate about the language documentation and work. And so I request sir to take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so nice to hear about those introductory comments from our organizer, Pankaj Dwivedi, and also our friend Sujoy Sarkar. So good afternoon to everyone. As has been introduced, my name is Pauthang Haokip. I hail from Manipur, but had my education in linguistics from Northeastern Hill University, Nehu. I completed my PhD in the year 2007. Thereafter, I was selected as a teacher, as an assistant professor in Assam University, where I served the university for 10 years. And as has been said by Sujoy Sarkar, I was in Nagaland for a very brief period. And currently now I am in ZNU, heading the Center for Linguistics. So without further introduction and ado, I would like to go straight to my talk. My talk is not a real linguistic talk. Neither is it a very professional talk. But I'm also to make the point that I'm not a specialist in Assamese, nor am I a specialist in Indo-Aryan. But having worked in Northeast India, so we have some understanding about the language. Trying to avoid many linguistic jargons and linguistic terms and terminology. So with this, let me put up my presentation. One second.
Yes,
okay, now
yeah, we can see your slide, sir.
So from now on, my face will I wouldn't be able to see you. So in case there is some interruption in the talk or something like that, because my PowerPoint is in full mode and I'm not able to see other screen. So in case there are some interruptions or somewhere you can't hear the talk, kindly inform me. So,
yes, sir. Sure, we'll inform you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So as has been requested by Pankaj ji, I am preparing some talk slides. So to begin with, let us start with an introduction. So as we all know, Assamese, everybody from Northeast knows Assamese. So it is the official language of the state of Assam. So in addition to Assamese, there is another Indo-Aryan language called Bengali, or we call it Sylheti Bengali. So Sylheti Bengali is spoken mainly in southern Assam, in Barak Valley, and Assamese is an Indo-Aryan language. So why do we call Assamese an Indo-Aryan language? Why Khasi is not an Indo-Aryan language, or why Bodo is not an Indo-Aryan language? So for the benefit of our participants, we group languages of the world and perhaps languages of India. So let us narrow our discussion to languages of India. So there are 4 major language families in Indian or Indian subcontinent or India. These are what we call, let's start from Northeast. So we have Austroasiatic language like Khasi. Khasi is the only Austroasiatic language spoken in Northeast India. The rest are Tibeto-Burman and the rest and Indo-Aryan. Then we have Khasi also is spoken, not Khasi, what do you call, Austroasiatic language are also spoken in central India, in Jharkhand and other places like Munda branch is spoken somewhere in central India, Jharkhand and its adjoining areas. Then we have what is called Indo-Aryan. So Indo-Aryan includes like Assamese, Bengali, then Oriya, then Hindi, and all the central Indian languages extending up to Maithili. These are all the majority languages in India, not the majority, the major languages, let's say, are from this language family. Then if you go down to South India, you have something like Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and its dialects. So these are called Dravidian languages. So languages are divided into families, and Assamese belongs to an Indo-Aryan language family. And so Assamese is surrounded by Tibeto-Burman languages all around. So from the extreme north, you have the state of Arunachal Pradesh, which is home to near about more than 50 Tibeto-Burman languages. Then we have, if you go to then to Nagaland, so the state of Nagaland is all spoken by Tibeto-Burman languages. And then you go to Manipur, all Tibeto-Burman languages. Then we have Tripura, where you have Tibeto-Burman languages surrounding the Bengali language, and Mizoram, and so on. So Tibeto-Burman languages are surrounding. So in fact, Assam or Assamese is surrounded by Tibeto-Burman languages all around. So when languages live together, when languages belonging to different families live together under one geographical roof or area, then you will find lots of bilingualism. You find lots of what you call language contact phenomena. Some of these we will briefly go through at the end of the discussion. So Assamese is a recognized language. It is recognized by the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So if I'm not mistaken, there are near about how many, 27 or 28 scheduled languages. So languages of India are divided into scheduled and non-scheduled. So when I say scheduled languages, these are classical languages like Tamil and Sanskrit, and also because of subsequent recommendation by the parliament, we have added language after language. Assamese was the first language from Northeast India to be recognized under the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. In addition to Assamese, we have Manipuri. Manipuri also is recognized under the 8th schedule. Then the third language which is included under the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution is Bodo. So Bodo was the last language which was introduced. So by dint of its inclusion under the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, these languages are given many privileges. And some of these privileges has been carried out by nodal agency like CIIL, for which training centers and other things have been conducted from time to time. So in addition to this, you have some what you call language, what you call Bhasha kind of institution funded by the state and also supported by the central government. So as I said, Assamese is the official language of the state of Assam. It is not only the official language, it is also the lingua franca for dozens of languages that are spread across the Brahmaputra Valley. So most of you are from Assam, so you must be knowing that you have, if you go to Bodoland, there are all the Bodos, whose number about 14 to 15 lakhs. They speak what they call Tibeto-Burman language. They have Missing, Karbi, and also many other languages. So these what you call tribal languages, which we use in our local setting, we call it tribal languages. They all use Assamese for communication. So when the tribal people want to communicate with the mainland people or between themselves from one community to the other, they use basically uh, Assamese. So in that sense, Assamese is a very robust language. Robust language not only used by its speakers, but also used by other tribal people for communication with different communities that are around Assam. But these lingua franca, if you go to southern part of Assam, that is Barak Valley, the presence of Assamese is very, very thin there. So there you have mainly Bengali, which is an official language of that region, and Bengali is used as the lingua franca by many tribes living there. So the total number of Assamese speakers, according to Census of India 2001, is 1,48,16,440. So this is according to, which is a big, big number. So considering the size of languages that are spoken around Northeast. So in Northeast, we have the number of languages in Northeast India is not certain. We really don't know the exact number of languages, but perhaps there are more than around 200 plus languages spoken there. One of the reasons why we are not able to ascertain the number of languages in Northeast India is that there are many languages for which we have no information, and the distinction between language and dialect is not clear in that area. So I have been constantly saying that the recognition of language or tribe in Northeast India is based on what it calls political or governmental decisions. And these are not based on linguistic criterion or criteria. So if we follow strict linguistic criterion, then the languages of Northeast India may be fewer. But government don't consider this linguistic criteria, and as a result, depending on the will of the central government, so languages has been added in the list of Indian languages by Census of India and other agencies. So now we move on to the next slide. Now is the so for the purpose of our today's talk, I would like to discuss about word order. Before this, coming back to the earlier slide, why do we call Assamese an Indo-Aryan language? Is because of the characteristics that Assamese exhibit. So if you compare Assamese and Tibeto-Burman language like Bodo or Mising or Karbi or other languages, then in terms of the structure, when I say structure, language have structure, just as our body have hands, legs, we have our head, our nose, our leg. So language also have its own structure. So what are the structure of language? The structures of language are something like the noun. So we have noun. Without noun, you cannot have a language. So you have to name something. So I said table or computer, or even for our today's communication, we use what is called this Zoom link or Google link. So we need things to name. So we need nouns. Every language should have noun. There is no language which does not have noun. So all languages have plenty of nouns. Then this is the main structure of the language. One of the structures of the language. And then we have verbs. So we need to have verbs, nouns, and verbs. So the action carried out by the noun is what we call verbs. So we need verbs. Then in addition to verbs, we may need something like adjectives, which describe about the quality of the noun. If I say good boy, so what is the quality of the boy? So he is good. So adjectives describe the quality of a noun. So we have noun, verbs, and adjectives as a core structure of the language. In addition to these three core structures, we might have tense, aspect, mood, and many other linguistic phenomena to which I'm not going to talk today. So we need nouns, verbs, and adjectives, and some sentence ending particle like past tense. So you need to end a sentence with past tense with some declarative marker, something like that. So why Assamese is considered as an Indo-Aryan language? Because it has the order SOV. So the order of the language is SOV. That means in Assamese, a sentence should have the subject. So the subject here is Rame. Then you need to have the object. Object is Hori or Hari. Then the verb is Mari or Marile. Marile. Okay. So the structure of Assamese is SOV. So in English, you say Ram. Ram is the subject. Then in English, you have verb is bit. Then Hari comes to the last. So English is basically subject, verb, and object. But in Assamese, you have subject, then object comes between here, and then you have the verb. So these are called verb final languages because the verb comes after the noun. So you have the noun, you have the object here. So the object comes after the subject. So we have the SOV order. So this is one feature of Assamese. So this feature is found in all Indo-Aryan language. So SOV order, S stands for subject, O stands for object, and V stands for verbs. This you find in all the Indo-Aryan languages. So there's the same structure you'll find in Bengali, Oriya, and Hindi, and so on and so forth. Okay, Punjabi, and so on. So this you'll find. These order also you'll find in Tibeto-Burman language. So Tibeto-Burman language like Bodo, all this Bodo, Missing, Kokborok, on other Mizo, this you'll find SOV. So in terms of word order, so Assamese and Tibeto-Burman languages they have. But in Khasi, if you remember, Khasi have different word order. So Khasi is like English. So you have the subject, then the verbs, and then the object. So this is one of the features why we consider Assamese as an Indo-Aryan language. Other criteria I will come later on. The next is what we call adjectives. So we have, if you have adjective and noun, what is the order? So if you want to say heavy things or heavy thing, then it's like English. In Assamese, Gudo Bostu. That means heavy thing. So heavy is the adjective. So the adjectives precedes the governing noun, the noun. So if you have adjective and noun together, then you have the adjective will always come before the noun. But if you look at other languages like Tibeto-Burman languages like Manipuri, so you have something like, you can have both orders. You can have thing, heavy. It will be, heavy will come after thing. Okay. In other words, in Manipuri, you can have something like Bostu, Gudur. Bostu, Gudur is possible in Manipuri, but in Assamese it is not possible. So in Assamese, the order of adjectives and nouns will be always Gudur, that means heavy, this which is the adjective, and then Bostu, which is the noun. So you cannot change the order in Assamese as far as this slide goes. But keep in mind that I'm not a speaker of Assamese. The rigidity or the flexibility part, I may not be accurate in this regard. So similarly, if you want to say hot water, so you have to say garam pani. You cannot say pani garam. So pani garam is not allowed because the order has to be, adjective has to come first. So garam has to come first and then pani. Okay, so we move on to the next slide. This is adjectives. Then the next is what we call postposition. So postposition. So in traditional English grammar, so we are taught that English is a prepositional language. We say that English, there are 8 parts of speech. There is noun, pronoun, verbs, adjectives, And also one of them is what you call preposition. So if I say under the table, so under is a preposition, the table is the noun. So under the table, I cannot say in English table under, so it is ungrammatical. So the what you call preposition should always come before the noun. So as a result, we call it preposition. Pre means before. So English pre means before, and position means the position before the noun. But our languages are not prepositional. Assamese is a postpositional. That means the position of the noun will come after the head noun. So if you say under the table in the Assamese, you will say tebulo or tolo. So tall is down, so it means under. So this is the bow. So you cannot say tolok tebulo, which is wrong. So you have to say tebulo tolok. So this element tall has to come after the table. And these called genetic marker because a noun has to take a genetic marker. And tall, which is the proposed position, has to occur after the noun, and as such we give the name postposition. Then we also talk about what you call auxiliary. So what are auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs, we say he is a good boy. I was hungry, is, was, am, is, was, am. English, we have lots of auxiliary verbs. So auxiliary verbs are not main verbs. When I say main verbs, like go, I drink, I sit, I sleep, I talk, I give lecture. These are all main verbs. But if I say he is good, something like I was sleeping, so is, was, or I am going to Mysore. So what are is, am, are? These are called be verbs. These are auxiliary verbs. So I don't know how far this is true, but according to the data which I've collected, so if you have main verb zam and they have like auxiliary sage, so the order is that the auxiliary verbs will come after the main verb. So zam means go, and this is the auxiliary, something like is or am, or it could be even modal verb like may also. It could be. Okay. This is one. Right. One second. One second. There was a speaking of. Okay. In this part, I have skipped. Okay. Okay. One slide we have. I have slipped this one presentation. So you must be familiar, or you may not be familiar. So something like the boy, we have what is called relative clauses. So relative clauses, something like we say, the boy who is singing. The boy in English, if I say the boy who is singing, is my friend. If you say is my friend, so the boy who is singing is my friend. So rather the boy is my friend. So the boy is my friend. Let me show you. So if I say the boy, this boy, and let me put this relative clause in parentheses for your understanding. Why is my okay? So you can say something like this: the boy who is singing is my friend. Okay, let us make a complete sentence. Is my friend. So now the boy, I think now it has appeared in the, okay, it has appeared, yeah. So the boy is my friend. This is the main clause. The boy is my friend is a main clause because it can stand on its own. It doesn't require the presence of any other thing. So the boy is my friend in English is a perfect full sentence. So it is a perfect full sentence. It can stand on its own. But in between, what we can do is we can add an optional element, something called relative clause. So what is relative clause? So we can say who is singing. So this relative clause, who is singing, is saying something about the boy, is describing something about the boy. So this is what you call the head. The boy, the head is the boy. The head of the main clause is the boy. So who is singing says something about the boy. So relative clauses are what we call, these are like adjectives. It describes the quality of the boy here. So the boy is my friend. So it doesn't say anything about the boy, whether the boy was singing or the boy was sleeping or the boy was beating or the boy was drinking. It says nothing about the boy. So if you want to say something about the boy, then you need to add a relative clause, which is who is singing or who was playing. You can say anything. So the boy who is singing or who was playing is my friend. So this is an optional element which we call relative clause. So what happens in the Assamese is that if you have the order like this, the boy who is singing, so the boy here, the boy, this Laura is the head of the main clause. Okay, no, is the head of the relative clause. So we are talking about the boy. So in this is the whole sentence. This is not a complete sentence. This is just a relative sentence. Only the relative clause part. So here in the relative clause, you need to have one noun. Without the noun, which we call the head noun. Without the head, you cannot have a relative clause. So the head will come after the relative clause. The relative, what do you call, of course, is a relative clause, but not a relative clause. So something like gan gai thok a. So it's something like who is singing, and then you have the boy. So this is something like who is singing, then the head noun will come after the relative clause. So this is the relative clause followed by the head noun. You cannot have Laura Gangai Thok A. So this order is perhaps not allowed. I cannot say Laura Gangai Thok A too. I cannot say. So I cannot bring Laura here because the rule doesn't allow. So language is rule governed. So language or languages are rule governed. Every language has its own rule, set of rules which cannot be violated. So in Tibeto-Burman languages, like my language, I can say this. I can bring Laura here. I can say Laura Ganga Ithok A, something two or without two. But in Assamese, you cannot bring this. So the order is that you have the relative clause and then the head of the noun, which is the boy. Okay. So another aspect of Assamese is we have something like we have the possessor and the possessed. We have very good possessor. So if I say something like my book, so who is the possessor? Mur is the possessor. My or me. Me is the possessor, or my. He is the possessor, and the possess is the the possess now is kitab. So if I say Mur kitab, my book, so I cannot say kitab Mur. Kitab Mur is not allowed. That means the possessor, here the possessor, which is Mur, has to precede the head noun. It has to precede the head noun, kitab. I cannot say kitab Mur. I have to say Mur kitab because the language has possessor followed by the noun. But in some languages, you can say something like kitab Mur. Kitab Mur is allowed in some languages, but Assamese doesn't allow. So this is another feature of Assamese. So these are few features. And these I've already said, postposition, this we have already discussed. Now let's come to some part of phonology. So phonology. So every language must have two types of sounds. One type we call vowels, vowel sound, and the other type we call consonantal sounds. What are vowel sounds? Vowel sounds are those sounds in the production of which, when you produce vowel sound, there is no blockage. the air will flow freely. So there is a free flow of air. So there is no blockade in the mouth. No part of the mouth will block the vowel. So their vowels are free flowing sounds. If I say E, nothing is blocked. If I say Oo, nothing is blocked. If I say A, nothing is blocked. If I say O, it's continuous. So in the our mouth has many organs. Inside we have the vocal tract, we have our tongue, our teeth, we have our roof of the tongue, we have the blade of the tongue, so on and so forth. So in the production of vowel sound, there are no constriction, or there are no disruption, or there are no blockages. Okay, so it is, in other words, you can, in loose terms, you can say vowels are free flowing sounds. So every language should have vowels. Some vowels will be there. The number of vowels may differ from language to language, but you should have vowels. Without vowels, you cannot have a word. You cannot pronounce a word without vowels. So if you have one word or one syllable, every word or every syllable must have one vowel compulsorily. And in addition to vowels, you can also have consonants. So consonants are optional. So in the Manipuri, without consonants, I can make a sound. I can say E, E, this means blood. There is no consonant sound involved there. So consonants are optional sound, whereas vowels are obligatory sounds. Okay. So Assamese Assamese has rather what you call 7 vowels. I don't know whether some may agree, some may not agree. This is not my inventory, but keeping in view the current situation where I'm in, I have to bring. So we have something like high vowels. So vowels are also, some vowels are high. When I say E, E is very high. E is high. If I say oo, so there are 2 high vowels. One is E and one is oo. These are high because in the production of this sound, the sounds are raised. It is raised. The sounds are raised higher. E, oo. So these are high sound. E is a front vowel. Why we say front vowel? Because E, your tongue is fronted. When you say E, so your tongue is fronted towards your lip. E, when I say oo, your tongue is at the back, is retracted back side. So this called oo is a back sound. E is a front sound, because when I say E, my tongue try to protrude towards the lip of my mouth. So E, oo means at the back. So we have E, oo. Then similarly, we have mid vowels. These are mid means they are produced at the mid level. It is neither front nor back. So if I say A, so A is produced somewhere here, A, and we have O. So these are mid vowels, A, O. So we have A and we have O. A, O, A, O. Then this is ah. When I say ah is a very lazy sound, is very low. So your jaw will drop, your tongue also will remain in neutral position. You don't need to do any exercise, simply say ah. So when you go down the you have to check your teeth, they say ah, because that is the most neutral position, ah. And your jaw falls down, and then that's why it is called low sound. And the vowel also, the position of the tongue also is in the neutral position. Ah, you don't need to raise or take up your tongue, or you don't. When I say E, my tongue has to go up. When I say oo, my tongue has to go up. But when I say ah, my tongue remains in the neutral position. Okay. So these are 7 vowels that you have in Assamese. So these vowels, but these are phonetic. These are phonetic symbol. But as we all know, Assamese uses its own script. So these vowels may be represented differently in the script of Assamese. So in Assamese, how are these scripts represented? that we have to explore. And Amin Lado and other people may know better about this sound, what you call script system of Assamese. Then in addition to vowels, we have what is called consonants. So consonants are larger than vowels. Usually the number of consonants are always larger than vowels. So vowels are few in number, whereas consonants can be many in number. So what are consonant sounds? I said, vowel sounds are free flowing sound. It flows like water. No blockage. So it flows like water, no blockage. But consonant sounds are produced, when you produce consonant sound, there will be blockades. So consonant sounds are not free flowing, they are blocked. Sounds are blocked every time. So when I say pa, so my two lips, pa, upper lip and lower lip, pa. So they have to come into contact, pa. But in vowel, if I say e, of course there are some contact, but the air flows freely. Here there is a stop. When I say pa, so there is a stoppage there. So this, as a result, all consonant sounds are called, they are called consonant because there are constriction or there are stoppages. For we don't use stoppage, but for our understanding, they are not free flowing sound. There are always what you call stops or what you call intervention every time that you produce these sounds. So Assamese have something like pa. So you have pa, and also you have pa, pa. Pa, there is no, the air doesn't come out. So when I say pa, and keep my hand or paper here, something like, when I put my paper here, something like pa, the air doesn't come out. When I say pa, pa, so the paper, my paper is pushed by the air which comes from my mouth. So why we call pa as an aspirated sound? Because there is extra puff of air. So you puff the air, you blow the air. So when I say pa, pa, so there is a blowing of the air. So you have both aspirated, non-aspirated pa, we have pa, we have ta, tha, ka, kha, and then we have ba, bha, da, dha, ga, ga. Now, one of the phonological reasons why we say Assamese is an Indo-Aryan language is that we have voice. These are called voice sound. This pa is voiceless, and these are called voice sounds. So, what are voiceless sounds again? So, voiceless sounds are those sounds when you produce. We have vocal cord, right? What is vocal cord? So, a vocal cord is something like, for male, if you touch this called Adam's apple, they give the name, generic name is Adam's apple. So somewhere here in the throat, so there is a popping up. This is what you call inside. There is a cartilage. There is a pipe kind of some kind of wall. Two walls are there, and then there is a here we have a vocal cord here inside. When I say pa, the vocal cord, which is the Adam apple, for your general understanding, this doesn't move. But when I say when I say and when I say so there is a vibration in the vocal cord. So sounds are also divided into voice, voiceless. So pa, there is no vibration. We have, if I say pa, pa, so without vowel I cannot produce. But actually, to get the accurate voiceless sound, we have to say pa without the vowel. So there is no vibration. And when I say ba, there will be vibration. We have that sound will be there, that vibration will be there. So we have pa, pa, ba, ba. So Tibeto-Burman languages don't have this aspirated sound. Ba is there, but ba is not there. Da is there in Tibeto-Burman language, but da is not there. So ga is there, but ga is not there. So these voice aspirated stops is a feature of a phonological feature of Indo-Aryan languages, which is absent in Tibeto-Burman languages and also in Afro-Asiatic language. So if you look at the sound system of Indo-Aryan language like Assamese, and if you look at Tibeto-Burman languages like Bodo or Mishing or Karbi, in Karbi you won't have this bha, da, ga. So this is one distinction between what you call Assamese and Bodo or Karbi. But these you will find in Bengali, Oriya, Hindi also you have. You have all the sounds, voice aspirated sound. Then we have what is called fricative sounds. So what are fricative sounds? Fricative sounds are those sounds in the production of which there is a hissing of sound. When I say hissing, so if you see a snake, the snake will start hissing, zzz, zzz, hissing. So the snake, when you encounter a snake, when the snake is threatened, then it will start hissing. So hissing, zzz, zzz. So there is a hissing of sound. So this hissing of sounds, what we call it fricative sound. So we have this is or some people call it s, or you can say sa. You can simply say sa. Then this is za. This is the voice one. This is ha 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 ha. This is a velar ha, and this is the velar ha. So s, s, z, s, ha, ha. So there are always freezing sounds here. So sa, za, z, z, ha. The voice counterpart is not there. Ha. So here, but you don't have fa and va. So fa, va is mainly. So labiodental fricative, fa, va is not there. So this is another feature which distinguishes Assamese from other Tibeto-Burman languages. Like in Mysore, you have fa, fa, buka fak, buka fak, fa. You have also va is bird. We call it in my language, we call va or vacha. So you have fa, va. So fa, va are not there in your language. So if in English vein, there is a vehicle called vein. So what it will do is you call some people will say something like van, or somebody will call barn. So since you don't have va sound, so the word vein in English, which is a vehicle, you use, some people will pronounce as van, some people will pronounce as van because they are closer sound. So the absence of fricative sounds in Assamese is one of the characteristic features which distinguishes it from Tibeto-Burman languages phonologically. And ha is very typical of Assamese, a home. So perhaps whether this ha comes from Thai Kadai, because Thai Kadai was the language of the rurals in the 15th and 15th century. And now home, or what is called Thai Kadai, is no longer spoken. So perhaps we don't know. Perhaps some historical linguists may be able to tell you. Then in addition to this, we have nasal sounds. So what are nasal sounds? Nasal sounds are those sounds in the production. When you produce nasal sound, the air escapes through the nose. So when I say ma, na, nga, so sounds are produced with the air. So we breathe in the air, and our lung, our heart, then we pump up the air, build up the air in our heart or the lung. Not the heart, it's basically the lung. And then some air escapes through the nose, some air escapes through the mouth. But for nasal sounds, all the air, all maximum flow of the air escape through the nose. So that's why we call nasal. The word nasal comes from nose, nasal. So when I say ma, na, nga, so all the air escapes through my nose, and none of them come through my mouth, which is called the oral organ. Okay, nasal and oral. Okay. Then we have also liquid la, ra. When I say la, When I say la and ra, the air doesn't escape through the nose. Rather, the air escapes through the side of my tongue, through the side of our tongue. So la. So the air escapes through this side. La, ra. So it escapes through the side. So these are liquid sounds. We have what is called glide. Glide, or some people call semi-vowels. So glides, phonetically, glides are what? They have glide sounds are those sounds where your tongue has to glide. Glide means you have to slightly, what do you call it? The word glide. So glide means you have to glide it. And there is no other alternative to express it. You have to glide it. So we are saying wa, yeah. So the tongue is gliding like this, it's moving like this. Yeah, wa. So uh, these are characteristics of glide. So they have the tendency to glide. So, but in some languages, these are just phonetic properties. They are not consonants. But in this language, they function like consonants. So semi-vowels are those sounds which can function like a vowels and which can also function like a consonant. So it depends on the language. In some languages, semi-vowels behave more like consonants. In the case of Assamese, in some languages it behaves like a vowel, but the quality is that there should be a gliding of or gliding. Your tongue has to glide, it has to move, glide. So something like what I say, glide. So glide means I put the pen and then I glide like this. Glide. You can glide down, you can glide up, gliding. So it glides. So it has that is the phonetic property. But in this language, Assamese, it seems that glides or semi-vowels, they behave more like consonants than vowels. So with these consonant sounds and with those vowel sounds, you can produce all the sounds available in Assamese. So in order to be able to produce all the sounds in different words in this language, these consonant sounds and those vowel sounds which we have already discussed have to be used depending on the context. So if I want to use something like pal, I have to have pa, I have to put a, and then I have to put la, pal, something like that. So with this we come to consonants and vowels. And now, before I may forget something here. So one of the features of Assamese and Indo-Aryan languages, which distinguishes it from Tibeto-Burman languages, is the absence of tone. So Tibeto-Burman languages have tone. Tone means what I call changing the pitch. The change in the pitch of a sound will change the meaning of a word. So if I say in Manipuri, E, this is blood, and E, this is thatch house. Thatch house. That the roof, the house that we will build with the thatch, straw. So we have E means blood with high pitch, E, high pitch. So pitch means it's not a loudness. Pitch is the acoustic energy. Perhaps we should not come into such detail. So it's an acoustic energy. The acoustic energy is more. So E is the sound involves more acoustic energy, and E is a high pitch. E high pitch. If I say the same E with low pitch, I can say E. So E means different. It means blood. If I say with a low pitch, E, it will be thatch. So in my language, Thado, if I say nga, is a high pitch. Nga, is a high pitch. So it will mean 5. If I say nga, with a low pitch, nga, then it will mean something like peace. Okay. So this what you call tonal property of Tibeto-Burman languages is absent in all Indo-Aryan language, including Assamese. Now we move on to some morphological features. So Assamese, what do you mean by morphology? So some of you must be hearing what is phonology. Phonology is what? Phonology is a field of linguistics which study about the sound. So every language has sound. We are talking about what are sounds? Vowels, consonants, these are sounds. So the study of those sounds are called phonology. Then language has also, in addition to sound, we have words, right? We have words. So the study of words, how words are built, how words are created. So the study of words, how words are formed, that is what we call morphology. So let us look at some morphology of Assamese. Uh, so you have here something like Assamese have an extensive classifier system. So classifier systems are plenty in Assamese. So every now we have the classifier. Even number ekta, what is ta? Ekta, dota, tinta. So these ta are numeral classifier. So any noun or even numerals, they have a classifier. If I want to say orange, so orange round. So orange is round in shape. So you have to be with some kind of what do you call classifiers which describe about the roundness of the orange. So I don't have example for all those all these classifiers, but Assamese is very rich in classifiers. Not only Assamese is rich, most of the language from Northeast, even Tibeto-Burman languages, are very rich in classifier systems. Then we have gender. Gender, when I say gender, means the belongingness of sex, whether there is a male or female, so it's called gender. So the property of gender in this language is expressed by something like E. So you have something like feminine gender will be always expressed by E. Something I don't have an example for that word because I'm not a speaker of Assamese and I don't find some example. So E. So in order to form the feminine gender, you have to put always E. You have to put something like hen or cock, or if I say a dog, and then you have to put E, it becomes a feminine marker. So we also have what is called case. So we often talk about case. We have nominative case, accusative case. So what are these case? So this case is a property. Case is a property of of a noun. So every noun will receive some case. So if I say Ram is a good boy, then Ram will take a nominative case. So Ram something, you have the nominative case. Ram loves Sita. So Sita will have another case. So the subject will receive one type of case, and the object will receive another type of case. So the subject and the object we call component of the or argument structure. They are core component of the transitive verb. Then in addition to that, you can have other case, something like locative case, ablative case, and dative case. So we have a core case and also we have oblique case. Okay, so this I will not go much into detail. I don't have data on it. Now let me take you to what you call some word formation processes in Assamese. So we need to form words. We need to form words. So how are words formed in the language? So basically, Assamese employ or uses suffixes. Suffixes. What are suffixes? What are prefixes? So some of you might not be knowing what are suffixes, prefixes. So something like if I say happy. So happy, the word happy in English is a free root. Okay, it's a free root. It can stand on its own. But I can add happy and I can add ness. if I say happiness, so ness is the suffix because it comes after the word happy. So before happy also I can put unhappiness. So un is the prefix and happy is the root, the core root, and ness is the suffix. So Assamese and for that matter Indo-Aryan languages, they have plenty of suffixes and prefixes are very few. We don't have very few prefixes and infixes are absent. So we don't have infixes. Mainly we have suffixes and we have very few prefixes. And infixes are not there in the language. Since it's not there in the language, we don't need to discuss about infixes. So if I want to form plural in this language, if I say boy and if I want to say boys, so how do you form boys, plural form? So in Bodo, you have to add the suffix. So Laura is boy, meaning one man, one singular man, boy. But bull is the plural form. So if I say Laura bull, then it becomes boys. So bull is suffix to Laura. So if you want to form a word, mainly you have to use this strategy called suffixes in this language. So this is so now. So next is something like if you have something like singer, sing. So ga is sing. In this language, ga means sing. It's a verb. But if you want to form a word singer, then you have to add ok. So ga ok. This is a suffix. So ok is a suffix. So ga is sing, and if you add ok, this is equivalent to in English. Er, er. So this is the agentive suffix. When you add this suffix, you get gayok. This means singer. So sing is a verb, and when you add ok, now singer is a noun. So from verbs, you can get noun by adding ok. So when you add ok, you get a noun. Then what you can also do is you can also have something like adverb plus suffix. So something like adverb of time. So adverbs are adverbs of degree, adverbs of time, adverbs of direction, many things you have. So adverbs have different dimensions. So if you have something like at night, you want to describe about the timing of the event, the timing of the action at night. So you have rati is night. Then you have loy is the adverbial suffix. Is an adverbial suffix. So it becomes rotiloy, so at night. So this is suffix. Loy is suffix. Adjectives also can be suffix. So something like big. Oh, the gloss I have forgotten here. Dangur, zoni. So this is the zoni is the adjective. Then what you get is something like dangur zoni. So zoni is suffix, and you have something like big something. The meaning of part is not glossy. I can't remember. Okay, now let me try to wind up now. Reduplication. What is reduplication? Reduplication means repetition of words. Either complete repetition, if you are completely repeating the word, or you are partially repeating the word. So repetition of words or part of the words are called reduplication. So reduplication is a common feature of Assamese, and also not only Assamese, many other language families. So this is not a typical feature. So this reduplication is there in all the languages. So you can have something like kane, so secretly, something like that. Something like pate, or then something like suko. Then these are food reduplication. So kane. 2 times is repeated. Now you have something like partial repetition, like masta. So masta. So what is repeated is a is repeated, as is repeated, and what is different is the ma become here ta. So masta. fish, and the like. And then here also, here this part is reduplicated, repeated swal, wal, T-A-U-L, wal. Here is sa, and here is ta. So rice and the like. Okay. So this is what you call. And also, this language has what you call lots of compounding. So compounding, every language should have compound words. No language is free from compounding. So you can add noun and get another word. You can add noun and as a verb, you can have another word. You can add noun and adjective, you have another word. So let us see some compound words in Assamese. So something like if I say gos, gos is elephant, and then muk is face. So if I combine these two, gos muk, then it becomes a person whose face looks like an elephant's face, something like that. Huh? Then you have here bija, chagor. So bija, chagor. Bija is knowledge, and chagor is ocean. Then knowledge, full of something like that. It's like an ocean which is full of water. So the knowledge is also have some kind of thing. So this part is there. You can have bina pani. So the bina is something like and pani. And you have nila ombor. So you know this meaning. You know, nila is blue, ombor is blue. You get a meaning. A person who wears a blue cloth. Okay. Yeah, let me finish some of these things you can discuss now. Now, let us go to the last slide. So, language content. So, as you know, what is given by language content? So, many languages are spoken in Assam, right? Assamese is there, you have Bengali is there, you have Bodo is there, you have if you go to Shillong side or the border, you have Khasi is there. If you go to Tripura side, at the border in Tripura, you have Thai Kadai speakers. So there are few of them are there. The language is not vibrant. You have languages from Arunachal Pradesh. So when these languages come together, what happened? So when languages come together, because languages are spoken by human beings, as people travel from place to place, they also carry along with them their language. So you find lots of languages around Assam or around the region where Assamese is spoken. So what happened? In such scenario, what happens to the language? What happened to Assamese and what happened to other languages? Let's see. So one of the noted features of Assamese is that we have what is called retroflex sound. So in the phonemic inventory, in the consonant inventory, I did not discuss there. As there was no column for retroflex sounds. So we have something like retroflex sounds are a proto feature of Dravidian, which has been spread because of linguistic area by the Indo-Aryan languages. So we have something like ta, da, ta, da, we have la, ra, all these are retroflex. Retroflex sounds are what you call those sounds produced by curling of the tongue. So your tongue is curled, you move like this, and ta, da, la, ra, na. I don't know. So these are not there in my language. So these are very difficult sounds for me to produce. And perhaps these sounds which are typical of Austro-Asiatic, typical of originally, these sounds which originally belongs to Dravidian, they have been spread to Indo-Aryan languages like Bengali. So Bengali also have many other languages have retroflex sound. And perhaps Assamese also had these retroflex sounds. But because Assamese is surrounded by Tibeto-Burman languages, so Assamese lost the retroflex sounds. So this is what historical linguists say. So this is one. So Assamese has lost the retroflex sound, but Assamese has contributed a lot to other languages. So most of the neighboring languages, they speak Assamese. So Assamese are also bilingual. So not only Assamese people will know Hindi, and some educated people will know English. So no language is free, despite the robustness of the language and the number of or the strength of speakers, Assamese speaker also have to learn other languages. So if you come up to Delhi, you have to learn Hindi, and most Assamese know how to speak Hindi, and most Bengali also know how to speak Hindi. And educated people are by far okay. They are bilingual in English as well. And most other languages, the rest of the other languages, they have to depend on Assamese for trade, business, everything, because the medium of communication is through language. So if I come to Assamese, I want to buy something, then I need to use Assamese. So Assamese has become a link language. It's a vehicle for commerce for many languages that are spoken around Assam, especially in the Brahmaputra river basin. So with these few remarks on Assamese, may I stop my presentation here? Give the floor to the conductor.
Well, thank you so much, Professor. Now I would like to invite the questions. If there are questions or the queries or any clarifications needed from the participants.